It is very often you hear stories about a role becoming a breakthrough for an actor. Indeed, there are many such cases in Hollywood history. Some became stars because of their ability to perform a U-turn kick, some because of their brutal look, some because of a talented script. But there are roles that ruined successful careers. Actors became nothing immediately, and sometimes even ended their careers. Today I would like to remember a few talented actors who were buried by just one failure. Kevin Costner became a big star in the 80s. In 1987, Brian De Palma's Untouchables, in which Costner played the title role, performed excellently at the box office. Despite the fact that the film starred masters as Sean Connery and Robert De Niro, Costner was not lost against their background. Then Costner had a series of westerns and sports films that were breaking the box office. Small films grossed hundreds of millions. Kevin cemented his star status with the movie Dances with Wolves, which on a budget of $22 million collected $424 million and won 7 Academy Awards. Robin Hood also performed well at the box office, which on a budget of $48 million took $390 million. Costner has proven to everyone that he is not only a talented actor, but also talented director. Kevin was both an action hero and won women's hearts with his role as Frank Farmer in The Bodyguard. Somewhere along the way, Kevin decided to try his hand at the sci-fi genre. In those years, sci-fi was on the rise thanks to Aliens, Terminator, Star Wars. And the resounding success of Mad Max gave no rest everyone even 15 years later. Mad Max also didn't give Kevin Costner a peace of mind. In the early 90s every Hollywood studio was ready to give any money for everything that comes to Costner's head, and he came up with the idea of Mad Max on water. Waterworld was the most expensive movie in Hollywood history at the time of its release. Its budget was $175 million, a huge amount even nowadays, and no one even dreamed of such money in the 90s. In comparison, Batman Forever came out the same year, cost $100 million, and Braveheart $87 million. For the director's job, Costner called on Kevin Reynolds, with whom the actor had worked well on the Robin Hood. But filming Waterworld was a real punishment. As you know, working with water is not easy. Costner even almost died when hit by a powerful water flow, while he was tied to the mast. Costner's constant clashes with Reynolds led to the departure of the director, and the actor finished film himself. The film resurfaced at the box office and immediately sank. The film made only $88 million at the American box office and $176 million worldwide. Only the existence of home video saved the studio, so that thanks to sales of DVD and VHS film was able to make a profit over time. But this information did not reach the media at the dawn of the internet, and the fact that Waterworld was one of Costner's first major failures, everyone wrote. Apparently, the actor didn't draw any conclusions after the Waterworld fiasco and immediately launched into production another post-apocalypse. The Postman was already filmed for a relatively modest $80 million, but grossed less than $18 million. For it, Costner won 5 Golden Raspberry Awards, including nominations for Worst Actor, Director, Screenplay and Film. This finally finished off the actor's career. Costner continued to act in films, but about the former successes had to forget. Now Kevin flashes in a variety of TV series and plays fathers of talented children. Gaining fame on Saturday Night Live, Eddie Murphy quickly became an American favorite. He first appeared on the big screen in the Walter Hill action movie 48 Hours, playing a criminal who is forced to team up with a cop played by Nick Nolte. Murphy instantly became a star and a top box office actor. Beverly Hills Cop, Coming to America, and The Nutty Professor became big hits. Even some failed movies like Vampire in Brooklyn couldn't stop the actor. He was loved, he was filmed, he was called, but as soon as Murphy decided to do a sci-fi movie, his luck changed. Pluto Nash's script roamed Hollywood back in the mid-1980s. Then Sylvester Stallone was seriously interested in it, but after twisting around the project, Sly changed his mind. The script lay on the shelf for a long time, as no one dared to allocate big money for science fiction without a big star. In 2000, Murphy became interested in the project, and Castle Rock Studios agreed to allocate $100 million for it. Since the film was considered a long-running project, everyone avoided it. The producers had difficulty finding an actress for the lead female role, and Ron Underwood was persuaded to be the director. He was not a newcomer, but under his belt was a small film Tremors, and Eddie Murphy was in charge on the set. The director couldn't get a handle on the star, and the studio wouldn't do it for fear of the actor leaving the project. As a result, Murphy was constantly rewriting the script. He came every day with a new idea and forced everyone to work on it. In the end, the film turned into a 3-hour collection of colorful clips not related to each other. To save the situation, producers called an Oscar-winning editor, Alan Hyme, who had worked on All That Jazz and American History X. The editor made the studio bosses happy with the fact that, in his opinion, the film needed a new beginning, reshooting a few scenes in the middle of the movie and the new ending. The shocked producers refused to throw any more money at the dead project and shelved it. 2 years later, Eddie Murphy got it out of there and with his own personal money, decided to fix the film. No director was hired and Murphy shot all the new scenes himself. Pluto Nash eventually came out in August 2002. It was killed by critics and earned a measly $7 million at the box office, becoming the second biggest failure film in Hollywood history, behind Cutthroat Island. The overblown, pretentious and completely unfunny film practically put an end to Murphy's career and bankrupted Castle Rock Studios. The only success of the actor was the voice of the donkey in Shrek. Now Murphy is trying to revive his career by relaunching the films that made him a star. Last year, Coming to America was released on streaming service. It's hard to measure the film's success due to the absence of box office. Now the actor has plans for a fourth part of the Beverly Hills Cop, but judging by the fact that these plans are far from being realized, we can conclude that the sequel about the trip to America turned out to be of no use to anyone. Mike Myers, who, like Eddie Murphy, began his road to fame with Saturday Night Live. Myers is best known to audiences for his comedies about Austin Powers. The first film, a parody of the James Bond films, was released in 1997, cost only $16.5 million and collected $67 million. The film went modestly in theaters and no one thought of a sequel. But on home video, the parody of Agent of British Intelligence Service was a real hit. New Line Cinema Studios ordered a sequel as soon as possible. The Spy Who Shagged Me, released 2 years later and bring $310 million. Myers and his spy were just as good at the box office as Pierce Brosnan. It is believed that he was responsible for Brosnan's early departure from the role of James Bond and the restart of the franchise with a more serious focus. The third film about the adventures of Austin Powers, though inferior to the sequel, was still a great result, grossing $296 million. The Powers movies were so popular that Tom Cruise, Gwyneth Paltrow, Kevin Spacey, Danny DeVito and Steven Spielberg all made cameos in Goldmember. The producers even tried to get Sean Connery to appear in the film in a cameo role and were willing to pay him $10 million for it, but Connery wouldn't even read the script. Myers himself received $25 million for the third film, which put him on par with actors from the very top of Hollywood. Despite its box office success, the film had a number of problems. The movie suffered greatly in post-production. The first version of the film ran for over 3 hours, but the studio insisted on reducing the timing to the standard 90 minutes. Because of that, the storylines, jokes, and characters had to be cut out of the movie. This all affected the final quality of the film, and it received low scores from the audience. Because of this, work on the fourth part was postponed indefinitely. The actor had another box office franchise that brought him good money. Myers continued to voice Shrek, star in a supporting role and work on script for the next Austin Powers movie. But time passed, the film failed to get into production and Myers was able to push his another own script about Love Guru into production. Guru Pitka was originally supposed to appear in films about Austin Powers. but no one liked the character and his appearance was constantly postponed until the next film. Only Mike Myers liked Pitka and he, without considering the opinions of others, still decided to give him life. Surprisingly unfunny, Love Guru was released in the summer of 2008 and was destroyed by critics. Audiences didn't like the film either. It collected only $40 million and destroyed Mike Myers' career. The failure was so significant that almost everyone involved in making the film suffered. Sex Guru also dealt a decisive blow to Jessica Alba's career. The following year, Myers appeared in an episode with Quentin Tarantino in Inglourious Basterds and has not played a major role since it. In 2013, he made his directorial debut with the documentary The Legend of Shep Gordon, receiving a more or less lukewarm critical reception. In 2017 he appeared in one film with Margot Robbie and a year later in a cameo in a film about his favorite musical group. We still haven't heard anything about an Austin Powers sequel, and if a movie does happen, it will most likely turn out to be a reboot since the actor is clearly not getting any younger over the years. Only will anyone need him without Myers? Let's finish the list with the unique actor John Travolta. He is unique first and foremost because he managed to ruin his career twice. Travolta became a big star back in the late 70s. Every possible record was broken by the films Saturday Night Fever and Grease. Travolta flooded with offers to star in melodramas or called to dance disco. The actor wanted to step back from his role and tried his hand in other genres, but there he was no one needed. Travolta decided to revive his career and return to where he started. Sylvester Stallone decided to help him in his endeavors. Travolta accepted a role in the sequel to Saturday Night Fever, and Stallone decided to be a talented director. But the film was a real disaster. Travolta received a nomination for a Golden Raspberry and finally stopped being a rising star. Rescued the actor from oblivion Quentin Tarantino. Tarantino himself was a promising, but unknown director, so no one really counted on Pulp Fiction. Travolta himself thought the film would turn out to be a little art house like Reservoir Dogs. But the film became a big hit, taking the Palme d'Or at the Cannes Film Festival. Travolta received an Oscar nomination for his role as Vincent Vega and everyone wanted him again. John has already won a Golden Globe for his role in Get Shorty. The actor's royalties jumped to $20 million per role, and it would seem that life has settled down. All was well until Travolta decided to fulfill his long-held dream and adapt the novel Battlefield Earth written by Scientology founder Ron Hubbard. No major studio wanted to take on the film, fearing to get involved with the religious organization. The infamous Franchise Pictures, which is known for not seeing the film's budget on the screen, took a chance. The studio couldn't pull off such a project alone, and Travolta put his own millions into development and became a producer. The director's chair was offered to Quentin Tarantino, but he wisely declined. The film was directed by Roger Christian, who worked on Star Wars special effects and had just finished directing a second crew on Phantom Menace. Battlefield Earth was a real flop. Made for $73 million, the film earned $29 million and was declared by critics to be the worst picture ever made. Travolta continued to star and even got a few more times $20 million for his roles in Swordfish and Lucky Numbers, but this happened because the actor was already signed to these films before the release of Battlefield Earth. After that, Travolta gradually stopped being a box office and desired actor. Now Travolta is starring in films that can't fit into any category and continues to collect Golden Raspberries one by one. Judging by the audience ratings of these movies, the latest films starring Bruce Willis can be considered true masterpieces. Thank you for your attention, subscribe and stay tuned.